Rodney James Alcala was born as Rodrigo Jacques Alcala Bucher in San Antonio, Texas to Raul Alcala Bucher and Ana Maria Gutierrez. His father moved the family to Mexico when Rodney was 8 years old, only to abandon them there 3 years later. His mother then moved Rodney and his sister to suburban Los Angeles, where he and his sisters were raised by his mother. In 1960, at the age of 17, he joined the United States Army, where he served as a clerk. In 1964, after what was described as a nervous breakdown, he was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder by a military psychiatrist and discharged on medical grounds. Rodney, who claims to have a genius-level IQ, graduated from the UCLA School of Fine Arts after his medical discharge from the Army, and later attended New York University, where he studied film. Rodney Alcala committed his first known crime in 1968. A motorist in Los Angeles witnessed him luring an 8-year-old girl named Taylai Shapiro into his Hollywood apartment and called police. The girl was found in the apartment raped and beaten with a steel bar, but Rodney escaped. He fled to the East Coast and enrolled in the NYU Film School using the name John Berger. During the summer months he also obtained a counseling job at a New Hampshire arts camp for children. In 1971 he was included on the FBI's Most Wanted list. After 2 campers noticed Rodney's FBI wanted poster at the post office, they notified camp directors. He was arrested and extradited back to California. By then, however, Taylai Shapiro's parents had relocated her family to Mexico, and refused to allow her to testify at Rodney's trial. Unable to convict him of rape and attempted murder without their primary witness, prosecutors were forced to permit him to plead guilty to a lesser charge. He was paroled after 34 months, in 1974, under the indeterminate sentencing program popular at the time, which allowed parole boards to release offenders as soon as they demonstrated evidence of rehabilitation. Less than 2 months later, Rodney was arrested for violating parole and providing marijuana to a 13-year-old girl who claimed she had been kidnapped. Once again, he was paroled after serving 2 years of an indeterminate sentence. In 1977, despite his criminal record and official registration as a sex offender, he was hired as a typesetter by the Los Angeles Times in the midst of their coverage of the Hillside Strangler murders. During this period, Rodney also convinced dozens of young women that he was a professional fashion photographer, and photographed them for his portfolio. Most of those photos remain unidentified, and police fear that some of the women may be additional victims. In 1978, Rodney, who had by then already killed at least 2 women, was accepted as a contestant on the dating game, despite being a convicted rapist and registered sex offender. Host Jim Lang introduced him as a successful photographer who got his start when his father found him in the darkroom at the age of 13, fully developed. Between takes you might find him skydiving or motorcycling. He won a date with bachelorette Cheryl Bradshaw, who subsequently refused to go out with him, because she found him creepy. Jed Mills, an actor who sat next to Rodney Alcala on stage as Bachelor 2, later described him as a very strange guy with bizarre opinions. Rodney Alcala killed Robin Samsoe and at least 2 other women after his dating game appearance. It was speculated that Cheryl Bradshaw's rejection might have been an exacerbating factor. Serial killers don't understand the rejection. The case that would finally break Rodney Alcala's killing spree was that of 12-year-old Robin Samsoe. She had disappeared from Huntington Beach, California on her way to ballet class on June 20, 1979. She disappeared somewhere between the beach and her ballet class. Her decomposing body was found 12 days later in the foothills of Los Angeles. Police subsequently found her earrings in a Seattle locker rented by Alcala. Robin's friends said that a stranger approached them on the beach and asked if they'd want to do a photo shoot. They declined and Robin Samsoe left, borrowing a friend's bike to hurriedly get to ballet. At some point between the beach and class she disappeared. Nearly 12 days later, a park ranger found her animal-ravaged bones in a forested area. Upon questioning Samsoe's friends, a police sketch artist drew up a composite and Rodney Alcala's former parole officer recognized the face. Between the sketch, Rodney's criminal past, and the discovery of Robin Samsoe's earrings in Rodney's Seattle storage locker, police felt confident that they had their man. In 1980 Rodney was tried, convicted, and sentenced to death for Robin Samsoe's murder, but his conviction was overturned by the California Supreme Court because the Orange County Superior Court trial judge had allowed the jury to hear about the Taylai Shapiro case, and Rodney's other rape and kidnapping convictions. In 1986 he was convicted for a second time and again sentenced to death, but a Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals panel overthrew his conviction once again. While preparing their third prosecution in 2003, Orange County investigators learned that Rodney's DNA matched semen left at the rape-murder scenes of two women in Los Angeles. Another pair of earrings found in Rodney Alcala's storage locker matched the DNA of one of the two victims. Additional evidence, including another cold case DNA match in 2004, led to his indictment for the murders of 4 additional women. Jill Barkham, 18, killed in 1977 and originally thought to have been a victim of the Hillside Strangler. Georgia Wickstead, 27, bludgeoned in her Malibu apartment in 1977. Charlotte Lamb, 31, raped and strangled in El Segundo in 1978. And Jill Parento, 21, killed in her Burbank apartment in 1979. In 2003, prosecutors entered a motion to join the Robin Samsoe charges with those of the 4 newly discovered victims. Rodney Alcala contested the motion. In 2006, the California Supreme Court ruled in the prosecution's favor, and in 2009 Rodney stood trial once again. He was convicted on all 5 counts. A surprise witness during the penalty phase of the trial was Taylai Shapiro, Rodney's first known victim. In March 2010, he was sentenced to death for a third time. While in prison he has written You, the Jury, a 1994 book in which he asserts his innocence in the Robin Samsoe case and points to a different suspect. He has also filed 2 lawsuits against the California penal system for a slip-and-fall claim, and for failing to provide him a low-fat diet. Rodney Alcala continues to maintain his innocence, and currently remains on death row at San Quentin State Prison. In April 2010, the Huntington Beach Police Department made public 120 of Rodney Alcala's photographs in an effort to identify some of the women and determine if any could be additional victims. Anyone willing to provide information about any of the photos was asked to call police. In the first few weeks, approximately 20 women had come forward to identify themselves.